Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Chronicles of a Let's Player. So this series, I want to say first off, has been more popular than I thought. I think all of them had around 100 views. The third one was a little shy, I think about 80 views, but way more popular than I thought it would be. So I'm glad you guys are finding this interesting and helpful, or useful, or just entertaining. So this will be the first video that I do where it's up to date. Again, I don't plan on doing these like every week or every other week. They're going to be kind of just self-decided, arbitrary. Well, self-decided, not arbitrary. Checkpoints when I think, okay, things have changed enough, things have progressed enough, where I think I need to make a new video to kind of talk about what's changed, what's different. And today's date, by the way, is August 21st, 2013. It's 5:50 in the morning. Yeah, and I'm I'm a night person, far and away. So it's gotten to the point here recently, in the last several months, where I'm really trying to push the channel out. You can make the greatest content in the world, but it doesn't matter if you don't get your channel out there. So I try to work on more and more creative ways on getting my channel out. I'm not saying creative in an underhanded fashion, like spamming gaming forums with my Let's Plays and things like that. For example, this is a good example. Brian Fargo was doing a Kickstarter for the new Planescape Torment game. I'd never played Planescape Torment, so I thought, oh, this would be a great time to do an LP of it. But then I thought, okay, well, here's an idea. I'll tweet at Brian Fargo, who's very active on Twitter, and say, hey, after I've got a few videos up, tweet them to him. Say, hey, I've got a let's play going of the original Planescape Torment, where I mention that I'm doing it because of the Kickstarter and how people who might be interested in the original might want to watch that Let's Play. So I sent him the tweet. I didn't hear anything for like a day, and I just didn't think a thing of it. I mean, he's a busy guy. I didn't necessarily expect anything. But then another day goes by, I wake up, and I notice I've got a lot more subscriptions than normal. It wasn't a ton. It was like 20 or 30, maybe more. I was like, whoa, what the hell happened? And long story short, I did some research, and I saw that Brian Fargo actually did link my Let's Play. And he mentions, like, hey, this guy's going through the first Planescape Torment if you want to check it out. So little opportunities like that to come up, being on the lookout, examining things, and thinking, how can I use this to my advantage without being spammy? Because there's that line where you're using something to your advantage, but you're not being annoying about it. You're not being rude about it. For example, I don't want to just go to, like, let's say I'm doing a new Hitman game, and I'm doing a Let's Play of it. I don't want to just go to every single Hitman official forum and subreddit, just spam my link there, and then never go there again. That's kind of lame. So I don't want to do things like that. I will do things like I'll tweet the developers. Like when I was doing Tomb Raider, I tweeted developers, hey, I'm doing a Let's Play. Here's video 1. And sometimes they'll retweet things like that. Sometimes they won't. I mean, you don't take it personally and just go, well, they didn't do it, so, oh well, next opportunity. So I've done a lot of that, a lot of examining where I can exploit opportunities as they come up. And don't take exploit to be in a negative connotation there. I just mean finding opportunities and using them to my advantage. I've also, as many of you noticed, I've started doing Let's Tries, which are first impressions of games, mostly indie games, but games that are just released or are coming out very soon. And I mentioned him before. Northern Lion helped me to kick that off, where I started emailing developers, kind of keeping an eye on what games are coming out and sending emails out to these developers asking for a preview copy. And I'm not going to harp on that because I think I talked about that in the last video. But that's also taking up a lot of time. Another thing is watching game trends and keeping up on the gaming sites. I'm not very good at going to like Destructor was my favorite gaming site. I really like them. But usually I just Twitter. Twitter is my thing now. And a year ago, I hated Twitter. I thought Twitter was lame. And I thought, what's the point? It's a pain in the ass to keep up with. But now that's my social network of choice. Google Plus, believe it or not, is my second choice, and Facebook I don't give a shit about. I actually made a Vertigo Tea Party Facebook, and I probably should make a note on it because I just don't even care. I don't even know if I have the password for it anymore, to be honest. I just hate Facebook. It sucks, and I hate to sound trendy, but I just really don't like Facebook. I'd much rather use Twitter, or I'd much rather use Google Plus. But keeping up with Google Plus with Twitter has been a big difference because I've kept in contact with a lot of LPers that way. I keep up with PR people of various game studios. I keep up with developers directly, so I can and gaming sites, so that when news comes up, I'll usually see it via Twitter, and I can communicate with people that way. It's very, very handy in that regard. And I will say one thing is that now that I've really dedicating myself to expanding the channel, and as I mentioned before, I'm at the point now where I'm being realistic. I'm nothing if not logical and realistic. I'm to the point where I've passed the point where I'm like, it would be great if someday I could do this for like a full-time job. And now that is my goal. Now, I'm realistic enough to know that statistically it'll probably never happen. And two, even if it does happen, it's not going to happen like next month. So I need a long-term plan. I can't just put all my eggs in that basket. I very much realize that, so again, I am looking for another job in the meantime. However, that is my goal, and as such, I spend a lot of time on the channel. A lot of you folks have no idea how much time this can take up if you really care and you really want to maximize your output. I mean, I work on the channel every single day, at least for a few hours. There's been a few days where I've worked on the channel 12 hours in a day. And as I mentioned before, and I'm trying not to retread ground too much, but I kind of am. It's okay. I get stressed about it, and I put a lot of time in, and I get, kind of mentally drained. But it is hard to explain, especially somebody who's normally apathetic to things. But it's kind of a good stress. It's a good guilt. It's when I don't work on it. It feels good. Like I said, I have a very hard time describing that, because 2 years ago, I could never even fathom being that into anything. So it's okay that I'm putting this much hours into this much time into it, because it's something I really, really care about. As incredibly nerdy as that may be and is, it is what it is. So anyway, it blows my mind how much stuff there is going on behind the scenes. People say, well, I mean, how can it possibly take that long? You're just recording video games. Cat's getting up. You're just recording yourself playing video games and put them on the internet. How much time could that take? Especially because, as many of you know, I don't edit. If I do edit, it's very, very little. So it's like, how can this possibly take up that much time? Well, for one, I'm trying to keep 3 to 4 LP series going at any given time. 20 minutes a day. So on average, I'm going through about an hour and 20 minutes of recording content every day. I don't record it like that. I try to record in bulk, so I've got some saved up over time. But on average, I need to be doing at least an hour and 20 minutes of recording a day. And that doesn't even include my Let's Tries. Which, my Let's Tries, I have a weird thing about the Let's Tries. At first I was just like, boot the game up, play it for an hour, give some impressions on it. That's it. But I have a hard time doing that because I don't think it's fair to the game, and I don't think it's fair to the people viewing who are viewing this as an idea on should I buy this game or not? What is this game like? So I want to play the game for at least an hour or two, depending on how difficult it is, maybe a lot more than that. For example, Star Drive, which I did a full review on, I put about 8 to 9 hours, maybe more into it before I did the review. But that is an extreme example. Most games I play about an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours before I play it. And the more complex it is, the more I want to know about it. Because again, I want to cover everything, or not everything, but as much as I can in the Let's Try. Even though, again, it's like a preview video, I want to be fair to the two main points is I want to be fair to the game by showing, its strengths and its weaknesses. And I want to be fair to the people watching it, because I don't want somebody to buy the game and off of what they saw, but minimal research that I've done on it, and like, oh, this game, sucks. He didn't mention it does this and this, or they miss out on the game and then find out like 3 months later, oh, I wish I'd have picked that up. So those can take a decent amount of time. That doesn't include the time I'm trying to find these games and find who to contact, sending them the emails. Again, it doesn't take a long time for anyone, but over time it can build up. Because usually the process for that is let's say I'll go to Steam and I'll go to the like coming releases, and I'll say, okay, that's coming out in 3 weeks. I'll find the company who does it, do a web search, try to find their company, and most of the time now, indie devs have learned to put like a contact email or a press email, but sometimes it can be a real pain in the ass, and you've got to really dig. Now, and depending on how interesting the game looks to me personally, I might dig harder. For example, if it's a roguelike, I probably won't do a lot of digging, because I personally don't like roguelikes, and I don't think I could do roguelikes justice, because it would be like if I did a review of FIFA, whatever the hell it's called. I don't give a damn about sports games, especially soccer. So it would be a little unfair for me to do a review of that. And I did do a Let's Try for Rogue Legacy, just because I wanted to give it a chance. But to be fair, I said if you like roguelikes, you probably would like Rogue Legacy, even though I thought it was kind of boring. Which I know that's heresy to some of you. But at any rate, so I will find them, email them, and I actually have a spreadsheet keeping up with the games, who I emailed, when I emailed, if I get a response back. Sometimes they don't respond at all. Sometimes they just respond back with, hey, here's a code. Sometimes they respond back with, get back with us in 2 weeks and we'll see if we can get your code. So I've got all that in a spreadsheet to make sure I don't double up or anything like that. And then once I get the code, I install it, play it for a few hours, do the video, upload it, and link it back to whoever gave me the code, and then that's pretty much it. A lot of other time is, and I know this is a little boring even for me, is researching various things. So what am I researching? Well, for example, what I'm researching right now is trying to figure out the incredibly cryptic YouTube search algorithm, also called the SEO, the search engine optimization. I think that's what it's called. Basically, thanks, Kat. Basically, how to get my videos higher up in the search. Because the way YouTube is set up, and has been set up for a long time, is it's mostly a rich get richer scenario. People who get a lot of views are automatically going to get popped up to the top, because part of the search algorithm is how many people have viewed your video, as well as the audience retention. Like, in other words, how long somebody watched it. If, you get 1,000 views, but nobody, and it's a 10-minute video, and nobody watched it past 30 seconds, that's not good. So people with large audiences are automatically going to pop up to the top, which in turn causes more people to find their videos and subscribe and watch their future videos, which continues to make sure their videos are at the top, and it just circles and circles and circles. I mean, you can bitch about that, and it's kind of a shitty system, or you can figure out how to deal with it. Bitching about it doesn't do any good. So I am working on finding how to get my videos to the top. A lot of it, and I'm not going to go into details because they're painfully boring, but the long and short is It's a lot to do with your titles, your descriptions, and your tagging. Tagging being the least important, I think. And I'm currently experimenting. So some videos I will do, certain titles. That's why sometimes you'll see some videos have weird titles. Or if I'm very specific with what I put in the title, that's why I'm experimenting. I'll change the descriptions, I'll change the tagging, and I'll note which videos I change, and I'll go back a few days later to see if there's any difference, and see if I can find any rhyme or reason. I'll also do searches for games. I'll find the games that are at the top, where the people who were at the top didn't necessarily have like 2 million subscribers, and I'll look at their descriptions and look at their tagging and look at their titles and try to figure out, okay, why is this person at the top? Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes I'm like, I have no idea why this guy with 1,000 subscribers, with bare minimum description and just a regular old title, is, right after Total Biscuit and Northern Lion. Why? I don't know. It happens to me sometimes. Like if you do a search for Divinity Dragon Commander gameplay, I'm actually above the official studio, their channels. I have no idea. I don't know. I did pretty much everything I did with other videos. I mean, I'm glad it's there, but I honestly have no idea why. I'm not complaining for sure, but who the hell knows why it's there. So I've done a lot of that recently, and I've got a backlog too, not just LPs, but of review copies. Like right now, let me find my list. I have there's 4 videos I want to do right now: Raise the Sun, Hammerfall, Space Hulk, Extinction, and actually I got another one today. Steel and Steam, I think. Steel and Steam, which is on Kickstarter. And I'll go over that in a minute. So that's the videos that I want to do. Not to mention trying to keep up on my 4 LPs. And right now my LPs are, let's see, The Witcher, which I'm hoping is drawing to a close soon, Thief, Dark Souls, and Saints Row 4. And I want to add another one to it because some guys I used to work with were doing a playing a game thing and talk about it. So I thought, well, I'll LP it too. So I might be going a little crazy with that. So I feel like I'm really getting behind, which again causes some stressing. But like I said, it's kind of a good motivating stress. And then today, I actually worked. There's a game called Postmortem, which you should check out. I did a video for them, or I had emailed them, and I said, hey, can I get a review copy? Guy emails me back. He's like, hey, I checked your channel out. I really like your stuff. And to both Let's Players, and if there's any indie devs watching this, please be sincere when you do this. And the Postmortem guy, Jacob, I think his name is, he was sincere. So I'm not pointing him out as somebody who wasn't sincere. But it just made me think, there's a lot of times where the email we might get as a LPer or whatever you want to call us is, boilerplate. Boilerplate is fine, but don't send us a video like, oh, hey, I love your channel, I like your content, and like da-da-da. And it's obvious you've never watched, anything I've ever done. That's honestly pretty insulting. Now, if you just want to say, hey, look, I've got this game, we're doing a Kickstarter, or we're on Steam Greenlight, or whatever, I'd like for you to do this, that's totally fine. But just don't blow smoke at my ass and tell me like, oh, I love your channel. And it's obvious from the message you probably didn't read it, and you probably just copy and paste. Because we talk to each other. It's a lot of us LPers, there's all these niches of Let's Players, and we talk to each other. So I'll say, oh, hey, did you get this message from this person? And we're like, yeah, and we'll compare it, and it's like word for word exactly the same. So yeah, we talk to each other. So devs, please don't insult us. If you actually like our channel, then that's cool. But if you want us to review a game or whatever, just say, hey, I got this game, can you check it out? And that's that. But anyway, but yeah, he messaged me back, and he mentioned a few videos. He liked my videos, and not only did he want me to do a Let's Try, he also wanted me to do a special like PR promo video. He's like, hey, can you also? I really like your content, and this is where I could tell he actually was serious. He wasn't just blowing smoke at my ass. He talked about my content. He's like, hey, I'd really like you to do this. And it's just like a 1 to 2 minute video talking about the game, maybe like a tutorial type thing without any spoilers. So I was like, okay, that's cool. I think that'd be a fun thing to do because I've never done it, so it'd be a challenge for me to do and learn how to do it, and helping him out, and maybe if I make a halfway decent video. So long story short, I just finished that actually before this video, and I sent it to him. I haven't heard word back, and I don't know if they're going to use it or not. I think it turned out all right. I'm not great at video editing, but I also tend to be very, very critical of my own work. So I'm honestly not a good judge of how it was. But anyway, so things like that will pop up where it's like, okay, well, this is going to take a little extra time, but I'm okay with it because 1, it's good experience. 2, it's fun challenge, and 3, it might open up other opportunities, or it might not. I mean, who knows? You just kind of have to make a judgment call and decide if you want to do it, and I did. So, kind of getting off track there, aren't I? Which this is supposed to be pretty informal. This is just kind of me sitting back and talking to you guys, and or my future self. Hello, my future self. Hopefully things are going well. Let's see. It's actually getting to the point now, and this is what I was referring to before. It's getting to the point now that and I'm not saying it's getting to the point like just for my channel, but it's becoming a thing where developers are really starting to understand the power of YouTube and the power of people like me, Let's Players, big and small, pushing their game, not even necessarily pushing it, just getting word of mouth out there, talking about it, letting people know that these games exist. Because they don't have a marketing budget. These small indie companies that range from one person doing the entire game to like 20 people. They don't have these, $100,000 plus budgets to spend on advertising. So they rely on word of mouth. And YouTube is becoming more and more popular as a medium for learning about games, indie games in particular. Hell, PewDiePie, whether you love him or not, I don't really care. Don't put that shit in my comments. But he is now the most popular. He has the most popular YouTube channel, and he's a Let's Player. I mean, wrap your head around that. I want you to wrap your head around that. Again, whatever your personal feelings about him, it doesn't matter. A person who does video game videos is the most popular person on YouTube. So I think that's awesome. I think it's great, and it shows. It really shows that there are a lot of people on YouTube who want to watch various game videos and or the personalities behind them. So indie devs in particular, and some smaller companies or bigger companies rather, are slowly starting to come around. Indies are faster about it. One, because they're just more agile, right? When you've got a 2-person team, you don't have a lot of red tape. And because it's a marriage of necessity, right? They don't have that marketing money. So let's go to these YouTubers. I mean, if you they've got a $10 game, they send somebody like me a copy who, 1, probably wouldn't have bought it in the first place, or 2, even if I would have bought it, and even if I have a small channel, which I definitely consider myself to be a small channel, I'm still like 2,600 subscribers, I think. Even if they give me that video and 50 people watch it and 2 people buy it, or they tell the people who watch it, share it, or talk about it to somebody else, and the net gain is 2 copies, they just made a gain of 1 copy. So worst case scenario, they give me a copy when I would have bought it and nobody buys it from that transaction. That's worst case scenario. And it's not even a loss because they're not losing money. It's just potential money they didn't make, if that makes sense. So it just makes sense to do that to these, decently sized channels, or even I've got, again, I have my niche of LP folks that I talk to, and some of them have, just a few hundred subs, and they'll still get review copies because, again, it doesn't take a lot of views before that one key that you've given up to this LPer pays off. So we're starting to see that, and even Ubisoft. And I'll be the first to admit I have pooped on Ubisoft multiple times for serious bullshit they have pulled in the past. However, they did a really cool, sorry, I'm scratching. My chin is itching. Obviously, it's itching because I'm scratching it. But they did a thing recently for Cloudberry Kingdom where they had a contest for a bunch of YouTubers. How I got in that list, by the way, I have no idea. Because they had people like Rockley Smile, Northern Lion, a lot of really big ones. So how I got lucky and fell into that, I have no idea. But anyway, the long story short is they were using YouTubers as like in a contest with Cloudberry Kingdom to promote their game. And I thought that was great. I was like, that's awesome. That's a really cool idea. And I saw on Twitter the guys like Rock Lake Smile, Northern Lion, etc. were talking about it, getting the word out. So again, this was nothing but a great idea by Ubisoft. So again, credit where credit is due. You guys are improving. Just keep making games without the online DRM, and make a new Anno, and I will be all over it. But yeah, we're in this age of more developers, more publishers understanding how important it is to have YouTubers. And I'll see tweets from game PR people. One the other day, it was a lady, and she said, I have more YouTubers on my contact list now than I do with traditional media. And, I think it's interesting to see where it's going to go from here. I'm pretty excited, and I think I'm in at a really good time when they're starting to make this transition. All of this was a build up to say, how do people watch this? Anyway, I'm not gonna. You guys are watching it. I love you for watching it, by the way. I love that you guys are even remotely interested in any of this. But this was all leading into I'm starting to get more emails from, in particular, indie devs who are doing Kickstarters, saying, "Hey, we're trying to raise money for our game. Here's a press demo. Can you try this and get the word out?" So, and I'm glad to do that because it's a win-win situation. When I make the video, I'm telling people about this game that they might be interested in, which means more money for them. And for me, if somebody's looking for that game, and in particular, if I do a really good job on the video, they might link me on their Kickstarter, which generates more traffic to me, gets me more subs, more views, etc. So it's absolute win-win for both of us. So I'm starting to see that more often. In fact, I got another email from another Kickstarter today that I absolutely plan to do. And on a bean countery type way, I also enjoy doing them because I like to help. And I'm well aware that I've been outspoken a lot, but I've spoken against let me think how to word this. Kind of indie hype train, I think, is a little overboard, and I think indie games are often given a pass. I think a lot of times mediocre indie games are risen up higher levels just because they're indie games. But I also want to make it clear that I think this movement, this indie game movement, is awesome. I think as a whole, I think it's great. I think there's problems here and there, and it annoys the shit out of me when people are like, "Oh, AAA games suck. It's all indie, baby." I'm like, whatever. There's still a lot of damn good AAA games coming out, and that have come out recently. So it's idiotic to jump on and say, just do indie games. I think it's stupid. You're denying yourself a lot of great games. But I think this indie game movement is fantastic. I think it's a really cool thing. And I'm glad to help that. I'm glad to do my very small part, again, given my audience and given how many views any particular indie game might get. It's a very small part, but I enjoy playing that very small part and getting the word out about these games. I get excited too when I know these developers like Franbo, for example. If you haven't seen that, let's try. You should totally go do that. But I started following the main developer. I think. Wait, she does. I can't remember if she's the developer or she's the artist. Anyway, she's basically the head spokesperson of Franbo out of like the 2 or 3 people working on it, I think. And it gets me excited when she's talking about it. I'm glad to see, like, yes, they made their goal. I think that's awesome. Or, oh, they're almost there, guys. Let's help push them over the edge. So I like being part of the movement indirectly, and again, in a very, very small way. It's a good feelings, man. My feels, I can't. So anyway, I guess that's enough about that. I'm sorry, I'm reading through my list. Oh yeah, trying to keep the Let's Plays coming has been pretty difficult. What I've been trying to do is keep about a week saved up ahead of time. So like I'll record try to record like 3 or 4 hours at a time, and because 4 hours at 20 minutes per video would be 12 days. So almost 2 weeks worth of content. So if I record 2 or 3 days hardcore of whatever LPs are going on, I've got a week or two where I'm like, okay, now I can just focus on other stuff. But let's see. I am coming up Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. I'm very interested in that. And because I want to maximize my exposure time with my actually playing games for enjoyment time, I plan on probably at the very least doing a Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn Let's Play. I also might stream it as well. It's a little stressful to do both. With streams, in a nutshell, the problem with streams is, like, if you want to take food breaks, you pretty much have to eat very quickly, because if you have a decent audience, if you take 5 minutes to eat, you're going to lose a lot of people. And it's just the truth. People are impatient. And I have to admit, I'm the same way. Sometimes I hop onto a stream and the other guy's like, oh, I need 5 minutes to eat. I'm just like, I'll just go watch something else. So you're kind of pushed to like, don't eat, or just eat super fast, which I've done. And I really don't like doing that. But I might stream it maybe on occasion, maybe not the whole time. But at the very least, there'll be a Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn Let's Play coming. I'm very much looking forward to that game. And I'm afraid it might interfere with me getting other things done. But we'll see how that goes. As many of you know, I'm also looking at doing Skyrim again. Because it was so popular. Because it's still popular. Even after 2 years after I've started it. I'm looking at going back. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I have read everybody's suggestions. Probably looking at like a mage playthrough on False Scar or whatever it's called, the new content, with some spell mods to kind of balance out the spells, make them more interesting, but not overpowered. So that's coming. I don't know when, but I do plan on doing it. I did do a Saints Row 4 stream. Saints Row is one of those games where I don't even remember how I got a preview copy. I think I emailed them like a month or two ago. It was one of those cases where this game is big. I'm going to try to get a preview copy, but I probably won't, because most big companies aren't going to send small channels like me a copy. Like, Capcom, Square Enix, shit like that. They're going to look at me and go, 2,600 viewers? Call me when you're at 200,000. So, and I don't fault them for that. Just FYI, that's just the way it is. I can understand their position. So, but it doesn't hurt for me to email them and say, "Hey, can I get a copy?" Well, I guess I did that with Saints Row 4. I emailed probably Deep Silver And I got an email like a while back, like a month ago. It says, "Hey, you got a key." I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, "I actually got." I was really looking forward to Saints Row 4 too. So it worked out really well because I was so excited. I was like, "Yes!" Like I really wanted this game. And this was another case of wanting to make sure to exploit an opportunity that was given to me. So I want to make sure I had a Let's Try. I want to make sure I had a Let's Play started before the game was even released, after the embargo lifted, of course. And I also streamed it for like 9 hours, something like that, because again, many people couldn't do it, so I knew I could get a lot of eyeballs. Well, in some sense, that worked out. I got a lot of Twitch subscribers. I got like 33, 34 Twitch subscribers, but like 1 YouTube sub. So, I mean, since I don't really focus on streaming, it's not going to be that useful, but I'm still glad I did it. Yeah. Let's see. Just did a special promo for Postmortem. I already went over that. Dragon Con is coming up. Anybody who's going this year, 2013, you should send me a message, and we'll see if we can meet up and just say hello while we're there. But one thing I plan to do, I thought of this last year while I was at Dragon Con. It was too late. One thing I'm considering doing, and I can't afford to buy business cards, so what I'm going to do is make up some and then just print them out and cut them up and just leave them all over the place at Dragon Con. If you're not familiar, Dragon Con is it's more of it's a general geek convention now, but it's more focused on science fiction, like fantasy, that kind of thing. There's not a lot of game stuff. There's an MMO track, but that's really the only video game type related stuff. I love Dragon Con. I've been going every year since like 2008. Basically, wild horses cannot keep me away from Dragon Con. That's like my one major excursion every year. It's not even major because it's like 30 miles away. But anyway, that's coming up. I plan to drop my business cards everywhere. So we'll see if that actually generates anything. But and I also just passed 2,500 uploads. Like as of right now, I am at 2,503 uploads. Quantity over quality, am I right? But that's a pretty big. I won't say that's a milestone. That's a lot of videos, though. That's a hell of a lot of videos. I have so much content; it's ridiculous. Not all of it's great, not all of it's good, but there's a lot of it. So that's pretty cool. And just for references, let's see what my current subscriber count is. It is sorry. 2,644 subscribers as of right now. Again, that's small fry still. I also had the problem that a lot of people are subbing for Skyrim, and that's all they want to watch. And because that's obvious in that if you look at the videos of any just random video of mine, the actual viewer count compared to that is very, very small. So like I'm looking at Dark Souls 39, which I uploaded the 19th, so like 3 days ago. It's got 17 views. And I've got 2,600 viewers, so that's like a 0.01% view rate. So that's something I need to work on. But anyway, I think that's pretty much it. I keep thinking I'm forgetting something. This is not a big deal. I can just make a new video if I need to. But come here. You're gonna be a pain in the ass. Oh. But yeah, I'm glad you guys are liking this series. The folks who are watching it, I hope glad you are finding it at least informational or entertaining or whatever it is that you're finding it. If I think of anything else, I'll add it. But I think that pretty much brings us up to date. So as always, if you want to contact me, you can email me via the YouTube mail thing. But honestly, the absolute best way to get a touch of me is going to be Twitter. Just send me a Twitter message. I've got a link in the description below. Or Google Plus is fine too. But Twitter is probably easier. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for viewing and subscribing and all that. And we'll see where the channel goes in the future. Maybe the next update I'll be like, oh my god, I had an explosion and I'm at 100,000 subs. Probably not going to happen, but hey, you never know. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.